Today, I'm going to share some tips designed to help you to take your remote final expense sales numbers to the next level, and we're going to start by going over some of the basics, what I like to refer to as the floor, the bare minimum, and towards the end of this video, I'm going to touch on a specific technique designed to turn objections into opportunity. I'm Doug Massey, and yes, this is when I'm going to ask you to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. We're putting out new insurance sales content and final expense sales training videos like all the time. If you've seen some of my videos in the past, you may have heard me talk about the floor. And to me, what that means is really the bare minimum. In other words, you have to be able to do these bare minimum things if you even want a chance to be successful at final expense telesales. When your prospect answers the phone, you're going to be making an immediate impression, like within the first 5 to 10 seconds or so. This first 10 seconds, maybe even let's say 15 seconds, is where a lot of agents will actually blow the sale. So really, this is very, very important because what I'm about to share with you pretty much is going to be the difference between life or death for the final expense tele agent. But first, stick around until the end of this video and I'm going to show you how to get the I am your policy and the policy summary. That way you've got something to mail out to your brand new client, and I would say do this, mail it out the day after you sell them. And the cool thing about the policy summary is that it's going to have the monthly premium amount along with the draft date as a professional courtesy reminder for your new client. First off, the biggest fail that you can make is to fumble through the first few seconds of the call. Now, when your prospect answers the phone, you absolutely need to sound like the smoothest professional that they've ever heard. There can't be any hesitation in your voice. No talking until they've said hello, and definitely don't apologize for anything, especially if you're calling, let's say, late for an appointment. Starting a conversation off with an apology is going to send the prospect an underlying message that basically is going to let them think that you may be a bumbling fool and not really the person that they want to trust with their insurance needs. Use lots of energy and enthusiasm throughout the entire call. Guys, the worst thing that you can do is sound monotone or try to match the client's voice. That's the kiss of death. And what can often happen is that the client sounds down and or is sickly, and the next thing you know, the agent starts to lose the enthusiasm and their voice gets more monotone to match the client. Guys, just don't let that happen. Let's talk a little bit about tonality. When you're face to face, it's always going to be a lot easier to keep the client interested and close the sale. I mean, that's just the way it is. During a telesale, the prospect can't see you. You can't reach over and touch them. So a lot of the stuff that maybe I would normally do in the house, belly to belly, has to be replaced by correctly using the tone of your voice, and again, known as tonality. There are a lot of books on neuro-linguistics programming and also books on mastering the art of persuasion and influence while using your voice. And guys, I definitely suggest picking up a couple of these and just do some work on yourself. The thing is, I really believe it's important to know when to sound excited and when to change your vocal tone during specific parts of your sales presentation. In other words, you don't want to sound too enthusiastic and excited when the prospect tells you about a funeral experience or about how sick they are. Your voice needs to let them know that you totally understand them and in some ways can relate to their situation. Being relatable can be very important. You always want to sit up straight during the presentation while you're speaking, and this is telesales, guys, and always, always, always smile and dial. Yeah, I know this part kind of sounds stupid maybe, but it is practically impossible for you to sound down or monotone while you're smiling. And guys, this is pretty much sales 101. Now, this next part is also very, very important, so take note. It is extremely rare, and this is my opinion, for anyone, based on my experience, it's extremely rare for anyone to be successful at selling final expense insurance or life insurance on a part-time basis for several reasons that I'm not really going to get into. And what I will say is this: The main reason that most agencies don't want to take on part-time agents is because of, well, the following. By not committing to doing this business full-time, you are basically saying that you have something else that's more important, or that maybe the agent has to do before doing this. And the underlying message lets us know that the agent is not all in and will, well, most likely not fully commit to their success in this business. Which leads us into the fact that you have to do the work. You have to make the dials, and most agencies, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of dials per day. Believe it or not, we see an average of 300 to 400 dials with our competitors. Now, I'm bringing this up because with our platform, the agents don't have to do all this dialing because the clients are setting the appointments themselves, and you're basically calling people that expect your call and know that this is about buying affordable life insurance. Let's talk a little bit about objections. Do you know exactly what to do and say when the client gives you a, okay, great, I appreciate the information and we'll get back to you, or when they say, well, I still need to think about it, or when they say something like, well, I got to talk to the kids first, I can't do anything without them. If you don't have a system of overcoming basic objections, you've already failed. So at our agency, United Final Expense Services, here's the three-step process that I teach our agents, which basically does take the objection and turn it into the opportunity. When they give you the objection, the I've got to think about it, you need to use this objection to do two important things. One, build value in the products that you're selling or the specific product that you're selling. And two, use this as an opportunity to show off your knowledge on the subject, which will inadvertently help you to build rapport. When the client gives me the objection, I don't care what they say. It doesn't matter what the objection is, doesn't matter what comes out of their mouth. My natural knee-jerk response is generally something like, no worries, I totally get it. Now, let me give you something else to share with your daughter, or something else to think about. Then you simply want to loop back into the presentation and talk about the product, talk about the carrier. Go over like everything from how old the company is, maybe how many people, that they've insured. Even touch on like their size, employee-wise and even financially, and if applicable, go over their AM Best rating and even explain the whole thing about how AM Best works and who they are. Once you've done this, remind them why you're having this conversation and talk about the beneficiary and what the insurance is actually going to do for that person. Make sure you use their name, and don't forget to remind them that earlier in the conversation, they already told you that they know that they need the insurance. Your presentation should have addressed the need and the beneficiary earlier at the beginning. Then just go back and re-close. Remind the client, the prospect, that you don't need to take a payment today, and say something like, can I make a suggestion? Guys, when you say that, can I make a suggestion? They're always gonna say, sure, why not? Then either give them a lower option or suggest that they take the bottom option that you've already given them, a starting point. Let them know that once they've been approved, you can always give them more insurance later if needed. If you haven't studied the art of influence and persuasion, and if you're not totally ready to use that learned skill to close sales, then you need to do the work. Study, learn, and become the most professional salesperson that you actually know. If you'd like a copy of the I Am Your Policy along with the policy summary, the forms that I mentioned earlier in the video, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. For more information on working with us on our remote final expense sales platform, just shoot me an email at that same address. As always, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now, get out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.